Hi, I'm Donna Fry, and as the co-lead of Awesome MOOC, the Ontario School and System Leaders Educational Technology massive open online community, I'm often asked the question, why do our students need connected leaders? Well, one of the reasons that we need connected leaders is because education is not something that prepares kids for life. Education is life itself, and the world has changed so much since when so many of us were in school. The difference between what the school looks like and what the world looks like is problematic. Kids can't just ditch their devices when they walk through the doors of the school. I totally agree with Dr. John Malloy when he says that students today live in both physical and digital worlds, and it's not an option for us anymore to just educate them in the physical world. If we're not including the digital world in their education, then they're definitely at a disadvantage. We need to understand that digital world if we're going to be able to educate our students in that digital world. We think about literacy and we could not even imagine an illiterate school leader. But when we start to think about digital literacies, are our leaders really as literate as they need to be? We need to understand what digital leadership is. And when Alberta Teachers Association did a study on the future of the principalship in Canada, they found out that the second biggest concern from principals was policy problems related to social media. Things like cyberbullying in their schools that were taking up so much of their time to deal with. And I can't help but wonder that if we were better digital leaders as leaders of our schools and systems, maybe we would have a better understanding of that social media world that our students live in, and perhaps we could have a better capacity to deal with it. When we think about digital citizenship and how we need to ensure that our students have that capability, we have to remember that it's not just a subject, it's a way of being. We need to be able to model putting out there a fabulous digital footprint, getting out ahead of the digital footprint that others might create for us. Every one of our students is going to be Googled for a job. Googling people for a job is something that's being done every day. Let's make sure we're creating the conditions for learning that teach our students to get out there and create positive digital footprints for themselves. If we're connected leaders, we'd also know that teachers in Ontario have worked together to curate and create a fabulous digital citizenship resource that's free for anyone to use, that helps build really positive ideas around becoming digital leaders. And it's free on the OSPAC site for teacher and school and system leader use. I think today that being an independent practitioner is inconsistent with professional practice. If we consider our role as someone who is to ensure that every single student in our system is learning, it's our job to make sure that that happens, but we don't have to do that alone. We have access to so many other educators that we can learn more about their practice and consider what ones might work best in our system. We know that as we go from a great to an excellent system, that the best way to do that is to learn from each other. And it's not just learning from the people that work in your school. It's not just deprivatizing our practice within our schools, but also connecting with a professional learning network online so that we can learn from so many other people as well. We are what we share. We have to learn to share our practice so that others can learn from it. I know it's really challenging to do that because as educators, we're always thinking that we're not good enough to put what we're doing online. But if we think about our practice as being our best thinking right now, as we move forward and continue to share, we can actually see our own professional growth online. If nobody's sharing, there's no teaching and there's no learning. Sharing is the basis of the profession of education. We need to encourage more people to share, and we do that by creating those conditions that allow people to take the risks and feel good about sharing. And we need to encourage each other more to make sure that we're doing that. We hear a lot about innovative practice, and we can't be innovative in isolation from each other. We know that crowdsourced innovation means that we get lots of ideas coming at us all the time, and we can be far more innovative if we have lots of ideas to start from. If we think that everybody that we meet, including all of the people that we meet online, know things that we don't know, then of course we want to meet more people and learn from those people so that we can take those ideas and make them the best ideas to work in our situations. You often hear that the smartest person in the room is the room, unless someone's a connected leader, and then it's the world. We have access to the world that we carry around in our pockets so that anytime we're faced with a problem, we can crowdsource it for solutions. And as leaders, that's just so comforting to know that we have all of that support behind us. When we model open learning and when we model sharing, we're actually allowing a sense of accountability to come into our practice because we're opening ourselves up to challenge. It's one thing to be a lead learner and to say that this is the way the rest of the people should practice in your school or in your system. But when you say that openly and you allow others to comment on it, it gives a sense of credibility to your message that might not otherwise be there. And by opening up our thinking to challenges, it also makes us think deeper and question our own practice and puts us out there as being willing to be disturbed and allows our thinking to be challenged in a very open way. We know that we want our classrooms to shift from a place where learning is provided to a place where learning is sought. And if we're going to do that, we have to shift our own thinking about learning in the same way so that as model learners, as lead learners, we're constantly looking to learn from other people. If we think about our professional practice and then we look at our leadership framework, imagine if we took our practice and aligned it with the framework in an open space like a blog. By putting our practice out there and demonstrating that our work aligns with what's considered best practice in the province, we're also creating a sense of accountability for those that are parents and invested learners in our system. We know that system transformation moves at the speed of trust. And by making our practice open like that and aligning it with what we know as the leadership framework, it shows that we can be trusted to do the right thing. Every one of our students in Ontario deserves boundless education, regardless of where they are. If they're in a tiny school on the North Shore of Lake Superior or if they're in a downtown school in Toronto, they still need to have the opportunity to open up the walls of their schools and the doors of their schools to let the world in. And as connected leaders, we create those opportunities and we build those connections so that we can connect our own students to the best people in the world to teach them what they want to learn. So here are my top 10 reasons why our students need connected leaders. Our students are in physical and digital spaces, and we need to lead their learning in both. Digital literacy is a key skill to survive and thrive in the world, and as leaders, we need to make sure that we have the best digital literacy possible. We want our students to be digital leaders, so we need to be digital leaders as well. Isolation isn't professional. If we think about our best practice and we're always looking for our next practice, we're going to find those next practices by connecting with other educators. Innovative practice is crowd accelerated. The more ideas, the better. If we model connected learning, then we have a better opportunity to shift culture and have a culture where learning is sought rather than one where it's provided. If we openly align our practice with the leadership framework, we're creating a culture of trust. If we share, we model sharing and we get people to share back, and we're creating those conditions where people feel free to take the risks that they need to allow that open sharing to happen. If we want boundless education for all of our students, we need to make those connections to allow it to happen. And the thing that really is important at this time is to think about that the end game keeps changing. An education worth having is something that's a shifting end goal. It's not like learning to run a race faster. The finish line in a race is always in the same place. And so you can practice one thing and get better and better at it. But in education, that end game keeps shifting because the world is changing really fast. And so we need to be connected and stay in tune with how those shifts are happening. So it's not okay to present a problem without thinking about what that solution could be. So I want to invite you to take part in the Awesome MOOC 30-day challenge, where with only taking 10 minutes of your very valuable time every day, you can work through a series of challenges that will allow you to become a connected leader.